Onassis Foundation.
Dublab.
Welcome to the Quarantine Tapes, a daily podcast from Onassis, LA and dublab. Hosted by Paul Holdengräber, this series chronicles shifting paradigms in the era of social distancing.
Hello.
Hello, could I please speak with Maira Kalman?
This is Maira.
Maira, hello, this is Paul Holdengräber calling you. I'm so happy that you are taking our Quarantine Tapes interview in this very troubled time. It's good to hear your voice.
It's good to hear your voice, too, and to have positive things to do and positive people to speak to. So thank you.
Do you feel that this moment in time is a moment where positive people are few and far between?
Well, I think I think that we're so up and down. I think that every single person is positive and very sad and very worried, and reasonably so. So I think that we're experiencing so many different emotions that we're all everything. So it's a uniting kind of force.
You know, I reread recently "And the Pursuit of Happiness," one of your beautiful books, and everything seems to be taking a different resonance now. And one line from that book in particular seems to me so strong, and where you say, "We hope, we despair, we hope, we despair. That is what governs us. We have a bipolar system." And I'm wondering, as I read that back to you, what it conjures up in your mind.
Well, under normal circumstances, I would say that's a normal neurotic person speaking in her work, which sometimes is funny and sometimes is not. And under these circumstances, I think that this tremendous pause of the entire world stopping gives us moments of reflection that are inevitable. And of course, we're going to despair. And then, of course, we must hope, because what other choice is there? And to prevail. We have a photo of Winston Churchill up on the kitchen wall. We put it up now just to remind us what it means to have courage.
Of course we're going to hope, and of course we're going to despair, and we're going to go from one to the other, it would seem, rather quickly. What makes you hopeful at this moment that we have needed to push pause?
I think that what we have is the instinct to persevere and the instinct to believe that things will repair themselves, and maybe some things will even be better than before. I'm not a predictor, and I don't like to say what's going to happen, because who knows that. But that the wish is that there'll be a sense of what's really important and how do we repair, and also how do we protect people in general who need more protection in the economic forces. So it becomes so complicated that you can't even wrap your head around it. And then you go back to, I'm just going to paint a painting, I'm just going to iron, I'm just going to do some ironing, and hope that time will give us clarity.
What are you doing with your days now? What is your routine? I know you're someone who cherishes, perhaps even craves routine. In the Principles of Uncertainty, you have this wonderful line where you say, if you are ever bored or blue, stand on the street corner for half an hour. well, now the street corner is no longer a real possibility. So where do you stand?
Well, I don't stand, I walk. And what I am doing every day is trying to maintain some kind of schedule, allowing for the fact that things will fall away sometimes. So I do get up in the morning and drink coffee and read the obits online. And I do go for a walk down the road, and I'm not looking at very many people, but I am looking at trees and streams, and I'm really fortunate to be out of the city. And so I'm looking at nature, which restores you and revives you in every way. There's it's snowing. It's fiercely snowing now. There's a fox outside on the lawn
right now.
And
right
now, and there are birds, and so I can take solace in this incredible. The animals don't pay any attention. The animals go on, and the trees don't know, and the trees go on. So I have to think that we'll come out the other side of this and have all of these beautiful things around us. So my schedule is continuing that, walking and painting, writing, and every day I'm doing a painting of something that is very prominent in these days. The quarantine paintings, the quarantine journal. So we're cooking together. I'm really fortunate that I'm with my son and his wife here, who are very kind and lovely people. So we are all working and really are so incredibly grateful that we can all do work from home, because that really keeps you kind of sane.
You're all together. I'm really curious what this all together will do for so many people who have not been used to being together. I truly wonder, what will happen in 9 months from now, and which
either divorces from
Yeah.
9 months from
Yeah.
now, or babies 9 months from now, or murders along the. I don't like to say murder, but I told you that I was, or I didn't tell you, but I'm getting a copy of the book of Gertrude Stein's Murder on the Dining Room Floor, the only murder mystery she wrote. So, there has to be some, and we're playing cards in the evening, and there's a tremendous amount of laughing, and hope that we're just going to continue being able to do what we do, but who knows, day by day.
You mentioned Gertrude Stein, and I know that your most recent work has been an illustration of Alice B. Toklar's autobiography, and I'm curious what you think Alice and Gertrude would have made of this moment.
Their ability to be both very concerned and very worried about things like, let's say, a war going on around them, and there they are, two gay Jewish women in the south of France going through World War II, and so that's a whole other conversation. But I think that you look at people who have gone through all kinds of traumas, and so they would be very worried, and in a kind of way also very insular, that we have to grow the vegetables in the garden, and we have to make soup, and and embroider. So I've been embroidering. There are good lessons there, that you focus on the moment and you focus on the tasks that are in front of you, and you do them the best that you can.
I think that one of the most extraordinary phenomenon of what we're living now is just the level at which it reaches every part of the globe. And in my life, I've never lived something that has affected everyone. Have you?
No. I mean, this is what's the extraordinary reach of this, is that we're all in the same situation. Of course, with different aspects and tremendous economic differences for people, what they're going to be dealing with. But there's at least a sense of unity. I don't even know if will that last. Will that be comforting? Is it comforting? I think it is.
What do you think? I'm curious, because I think that those kinds of questions, interest me greatly, and I think they inhabit you. I mean, is it comforting that we are all experiencing something together?
We're all experiencing something together. What the outcome of it will be, I think that things, as the world goes in waves, and there are great moments of hope and decision making to make things better, and then things go back to normal, and they kind of fall down again, and we kind of get back into our old patterns. So it's human to not be in a crisis mode all the time, and it's human to, when it recedes, to go back to your normal life. What that's going to do afterwards? Will we buy fewer cars? Will we stock more toilet paper? Will we always be worried for the next virus attack or the next something attack? I don't know. I think it's going to be just this of course, this mix. Will we be very happy to visit people all over the world? Well, I hope so.
If you had to paint a picture of what that hope entails, what you hope your fellow human beings will get from this, and by this I mean also people that are perhaps close to you. It's hard to make predictions for the world as a whole, but maybe this pandemic will make us think differently, or will show perhaps that the system under which we have been operating, the kind of democracy we have been operating under, is, if not coming to an end, at least needs to be thought of in different ways with different priorities. So I'm wondering, when you think of how we might be hopeful in a different way and perhaps live differently, what might that look like to you, Maira?
Well, I think that the most essential thing is the personal feeling of, what am I doing with my time, and how am I living life, and how kind am I, and what ways can I be kinder than I wasn't before. And I think that if it grows from the intimate moment of kindness to the immediate group of people around you, then maybe it expands to a bigger group, and there's some political response to that. I'm really bad about politics, and I'm really bad about understanding how these things work, because it's just not my world.
But you're not so bad about the human soul.
The human soul. The human soul is going to do everything a human soul can possibly do, from really good to really bad. But maybe there'll be a heightened sense of goodness. Maybe we can but hope. There is a line that, I mean, I think that everything we read now takes on a different meaning, or a heightened meaning. But there's a line in Pascal, in his Pensées, that really strikes me very strongly now, and I want to read it to you and have you react to it. It's very short. One line. All of humanity's problems stems from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Well, that's brilliant. Good job.
Good job.
Well done.
Good job, Pascal.
Good job. Yeah. Good job, Pascal. Keep up the good work. It's so true. I mean, that we're all looking at this grand silence that's been and this grand stopping that's been imposed on us. This phenomenal thing. And what I'm saying is, I don't know if I can go back to the old world of being ridiculously busy, or too busy, or very busy, with what, and with all of the activities. And there's a sense of, if we could know what was wonderful about this, which is stopping and getting through in a healthy way, then maybe that'll influence the way that we think in the future. So I have a chair. I'm going to try to sit in it.
Taking time. And while you're sitting on the chair, you were saying you're doing paintings, kind of a diary, a quarantine diary, which may become, at some point, I imagine, a book of the the paintings of these days, or maybe not?
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, there is just one image a day, and it's not that many now, but we'll see. We'll see how many we get to.
What are the images of for the moment? What have you been painting? I'm just curious. I know it's hard to describe, but it would be lovely to know.
One is a thing that my son Alex made out of cardboard the first day of our quarantine, which I think is a spectacular thing. It's a reproduction of an invention that we saw in a photograph. So he built it. It's like a 6-foot tall thing. And then the next image is a dream that I had where there was this vast tree with a vast canopy and many people were singing underneath it. The next is a mime that I saw alone in town, carrying a suitcase. And I thought, well, aren't we spared from mimes even in this time? I guess not. But then the next one is a bird building a nest. There's a bird building a nest on the porch. So very small things.
I'm wondering so much how people like doormen and cashiers are doing these days. I will be speaking to them on these quarantine tapes very soon, because I think it's tremendously important to talk to those people who are still, of service and cannot remove themselves from life, which is to some extent a luxury.
It's a heroic stance that they're on the front line. All of the people that are still working and taking good care of other people.
Isn't it amazing to wake up every morning now and just to know that life has in many ways changed, and that we are hoping that change will continue, but in good ways when this storm has passed.
Right, let this storm pass quickly.
Maira, do you get bored?
Do I ever get bored, or do I get bored now?
Both.
No, I'm not. I don't get bored. I get I replaced boredom with being worried, which I had eliminated from my vocabulary. But I mean, not really, obviously. But now it's not about boredom. It's about quietly being distraught. And then I go back to, you can't do that all day long. So what are you going to do? This stuff needs to be cleaned.
And you were telling me on another occasion that publishers are still writing to you and saying, Maira, there's a deadline.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but it's wonderful. Of course, that the idea that yes, this will end and businesses will return and people will get their jobs and books will be printed and sold in stores, in bookstores that will be open again. I spoke to my friends at Three Lives Bookstore, and they were very busy sending packages of books out to people, but then they had to stop as of Sunday. They couldn't go in anymore. So, the idea that a bookstore, of course, it's not that way in the entire country or the entire world by any means, but in New York, so the bookstores are closed, and that really, that's hard, of course, among everything else. It's like, and books too. So I hope that books will be back and will be browsing in bookstores. And you and I both love that photo from the London Blitz of the people standing very nonchalantly in a completely destroyed library or bookstore, looking at books. So that's pretty hopeful.
Looking at books and that library which is destroyed, the roof is destroyed. What is so extraordinary are the people in that library, which, though destroyed, they're still wearing their hats and they're still dressed perfectly, and they are still immersed in the book that they have taken off the shelf. And yes, that's very hopeful. And of course, my worry, which I share with you, is, what happens to Three Lives, a very small, 100 person bookstore, which is still open, but still, 100 people, 100 people beautiful, beautiful bookstore in New York City, in Manhattan. What happens when they can't even do what we're doing now, which is find a new way of coming together here on the phone, for the radio, for the bookstore, sending books when they no longer can have people in the stores? It's very worrisome because they, will they survive? The Strand, I'm told, just sent all their employees home. Maybe not firing them, but letting them go for a while. How will they survive?
Yes. Well, that's maybe there's some kind of phenomenal new system that will arise out of this to protect people during this time and protect them financially during this time, and that you don't have to think you're going to lose everything if things have to close down for a few months or whatever amount of time. So that can that happen? That could happen, couldn't it?
I think there are shards of hope. I think that what this period has done is highlighten the fragility of our social systems and the priorities and the way we've lived our lives. Maybe we need to learn to live differently. Maira, in closing, what are you reading?
I'm reading so many things that I'm confused, but the top of my list for calming me down is I'm reading Agatha Christie, and which brings it full circle back to a murder mystery. Somehow that takes you out. It's a Miss Marple, and of course, in this time, to have an elderly woman who likes to knit, who's very prim, who drinks a cup of tea to make you feel better, can solve these epic mysteries. It makes you feel as if the world gets on a scale that you can handle. I can handle this. I can solve this problem and do it in a gracious and kind way. So she's number one on my list right now. But following very much so is I'm in a Shakespeare group, Shakespeare The Tempest. We're going to Zoom together tomorrow night and talk to each other. War and Peace. Duck's Newburyport, which is a 1,000-page book of one sentence, which I really love. I love all of these. Poems of Keats and Lydia Davis essays.
They're beautiful.
That's what's happening now.
Maira, it's always such a pleasure to talk with you. And let's hope for the best, as it were.
Let's hope for the best. We'll weather the storm together.
We will, and I can't wait actually to see you, but we must continue, and that's the premise of this show. We must continue to be in contact even if we can't touch each other.
Yes, we will. We will touch each other with our words.
A huge hug, and thank you very much.
To you too.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
See you
Bye.
soon. Bye-bye.
To support this show and Dublab's progressive programming, go to dublab.com/support.